Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. Our community has been working for over 150 years to bring justice and love to life. And so the community itself is not new at this, but we're still learning. Today we explore what it means and what value it can bring to our lives and to our approach for the fight of justice, to be still and to be well in the company of one another. There's much work to do. We'll have to slow down to accomplish much, any of it. If you're new to us, I invite you to join us. There's a room reserved just for you after this service in our newcomers, our newcomers welcome. You can find it inside of Social Hour, UUAA.org/social hour. Again, it's UUAA.org/social hour. Once you get into a Zoom room, which that'll take you to, tell the host that you are looking for the newcomers welcome. They'll be glad to help you find there a representative of our community who will be willing to help you discover more about us and what we're doing in the world. If you believe in this community, if you're a part of this community, help to keep it strong by giving what you can to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love and action. You can give at UUAA.org/giving. UUAA.org/giving. Now, I remind, there is much work to do. And the only way to accomplish much any of it is to breathe and notice the space that waits for connection between us. So in that way, I invite you, if you have a chalice at home, if you have a candle at home, I invite you, now is the time to light this chalice together. Say it with me. We light this chalice. We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. So may it be.
Open my heart to all that I seek, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek, let me Open my heart, all that I seek, let me be part of the Lord. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart, open my heart, open my heart, open my heart, my heart.
Our covenant is a reminder of the values we hold with us, in community and in our hearts. Please join with me and say, the spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth and love, and to help one another.
One day, Taylor decided to make something. Something new. Something special. Something amazing. Taylor was so proud. But then, out of nowhere, things came crashing down. The chicken was the first to notice.
Cluck, cluck. What a shame. I'm so sorry this happened. Let's talk about it. Cluck, cluck.
But Taylor didn't feel like talking, so the chicken left. Next came the bear. How horrible. I bet you feel so angry. Let's shout about it. Grr, rawr. But Taylor didn't feel like shouting, so the bear left. The elephant knew just what to do. Trump-da, I can fix this. We just need to remember exactly the way things were. But Taylor didn't feel like remembering, so the elephant also left. One by one they came. The hyena.
Let's laugh about it.
The ostrich. Let's hide and pretend nothing happened. The kangaroo.
What a mess. Let's throw it all away.
And the snake.
Shh. Let's go knock down someone else's.
But Taylor didn't feel like doing anything with anybody. So eventually they all left until Taylor was alone. In the quiet, Taylor didn't even notice the rabbit, but it moved closer and closer until Taylor could feel its warm body. Together they sat in silence until Taylor said, "Please stay with me." The rabbit listened. The rabbit listened as Taylor talked. The rabbit listened as Taylor shouted. The rabbit listened as Taylor remembered and laughed. The rabbit listened to Taylor's plans to hide, to throw everything away, to ruin things for someone else. Through it all, the rabbit never left. And when the time was right, the rabbit listened to Taylor's plan to build again. "I can't wait," Taylor said. "It's going to be amazing." The end.
Dear ones, sometimes there are events of such magnitude in this world, of such importance that we need to prepare ourselves to hear them well. We need to find a space in which we can give our unmixed attention so that we can hear deeply, and from that space fully experience sorrow, grief, anger, rage. If we slow down enough, collectively pause as a community, we can hear and feel these emotions with such clarity that we will know without doubt what we should do next. We will know without doubt that we are called to act now, because there cannot be yet another, because it cannot be happening again. I invite your unmixed attention right now, the most focused attention you can muster. I invite you into this sacred moment that I choose to call prayer. God of many names, of no name, that which holds all.
We'd like to bring to your attention yet another act of racial violence that has occurred in the past few weeks. This is not a content warning in the sense that you need to turn your children's ears away, but rather an invitation into brave space, to bear witness to the pain in the world, to share with your children the realities of life in a way that honors their ability for empathy and can help teach them healthy ways to process emotion. We invite everyone to sit in this hurt, join together in community, and to heal together. On June 24th, the first day of our Unitarian Universalist Association's General Assembly, Althea Bernstein was stopping at a red light in her hometown of Madison, Wisconsin, when 4 white men yelled racial slurs at her, sprayed lighter fluid on her, and threw a flaming lighter in her car. Althea is alive and okay, recovering from 2nd and 3rd degree burns over her face and body. Althea, who is 18 years old, is a biracial Black woman who identifies as both Jewish and UU. Her home congregation, the First Unitarian Society of Madison, was the first to share this story with our people, and many congregations and communities have been sending her cards and donating in her name to the organizations she has lifted up. Although I had heard the story last week, directly from the communities she was a part of, I have also seen many stories in the news about it. In most of these stories, they don't say she was attacked. They say she claimed to be attacked, while showing a video of her and the burns on her face. She said she was set on fire. Only a few of them actually give credit to her story. Believe women. Believe people of color. Althea and I don't know each other, but we could. In the world of Unitarian Universalism, most young UUs of color tend to find each other pretty quickly. I know people Althea's age from her congregation, and I know people who share many of the same identities as Althea. In this discussion, and lifting up yet another horror of this continued era of violent white supremacy, Kat Liu reminds us that the fact that this woman is a Unitarian Universalist is probably the least important part of the story. But it's a reminder that the people being attacked and sometimes killed are members of our communities. They are ours, not others. Let us collectively feel that urgency. If we are to truly live into our UU values of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and believe in the interconnected web of life, then we should feel as much personal grief and pain and anger at every act of Black violence and murder, be it George Floyd, or Sandra Bland, or Trayvon Martin, or Althea Bernstein. It helps to remember that these things don't happen in a void. They happen in Ann Arbor. They happen to Unitarian Universalists. They happen to people who love like us, make mistakes like us, who cry like us, get angry like us, who smile like us, who pray like us, and definitely don't pray like us.
Hear the prayers of this community as we find ourselves facing another moment of violence, this time against one of our own siblings in faith. Help us to not turn away from this impossible moment. Help us to not speak Althea as just one more name in the impossible litany of names we hold up to remember. Help us be so present to this moment, to Althea, that we know with utmost clarity it is not enough to only remember.
These things don't happen by mistake or because of a miscommunication. These things happen because of the culture that is ingrained in us since childhood, a culture that teaches us to other, a culture that teaches young Black children to not play with anything that looks like a gun, to not wear a hoodie outside, and now, maybe, to not leave their window down at a stoplight to get a breath of fresh air. And even more importantly, a culture that teaches white people that they deserve to be superior, that they have the right to wield a gun and protect themselves from the Black people they perceive as a threat. A culture that teaches white men that it's okay to pour lighter fluid and a lighter into a young Black woman's car. So today we hold Althea's pain. We hold the pain of her family. We hold the pain of the families of Black people who have been murdered.
Spirit of love, we pray that your presence surrounds Althea and speeds her recovery. Open our hearts wider than our minds. Allow us to feel even a fraction of the pain Althea's mother feels. Allow us to feel even for an instant the pain of all the mothers whose children's names we hold up when we say George, Brianna, Trayvon, Sandra, Eric, Tony. Open our hearts. Help us find a place of stillness right now, stillness from which we come to understand how the world has been broken from the weight of hundreds of years of impossible moments. Spirit of life, help us find that place of stillness from which we resolve to make a difference, knowing that it is not enough Give us strength and purpose of vision to now move without hesitation beyond our resolve.
Thoughts and prayers are always welcome, but there are times when thoughts and prayers aren't enough. If you'd like to support Althea in other ways, you can send cards and care packages to the care of the First Unitarian Society of Madison. If you'd like to donate to an organization Althea has lifted up, please send your donations to Freedom Inc., Urban Triage, Foundation for Black Women's Wellness, or the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. Althea and her family are requesting no donations, but if you want to support Althea directly, you can donate to her GoFundMe to create the Pause and Reflect Farm, a place for children, youth, and young adults to spend time with rescue animals. Thank you for your support.
Amen, Ashe, and may it be so.
There is not time to see only in this day what we do not have. There is not time to see only in this day what has been destroyed. Lives are still waiting to matter. Hearts are still begging for change. Black lives around the world and across human history are waiting to matter enough that the phrase Black Lives Matter no longer suffers the repulsive indignity of semantic debate. There is no time to waste on watching others try to make a change. There is not time to wait for future generations to stop the cycle of prejudice in its tracks. The moral arc of the universe is long, says Parker and King and Obama, but it bends toward justice. Still, that arc only bends when we assemble to be led by the voices and stories of the impacted, and reach up and hop up to weigh down the arc until it falls and shines toward us. One day, surely enough, there will be enough of us to pulverize injustice and surround its carriers with love and sense, to learn to care even for the living of our enemies until hatred makes no sense to anyone, not even those who benefit from a lopsided allocation of dignity. And we cannot sit out the needs of the people who suffer injustice today because their particular stories don't yet make world news. Lives are waiting to matter. So we must be still. Here today, where the world changes, the ways we communicate, the ways we commune with each other, even the way this community forms. Here today, when the world changes around a disease that makes it difficult to breathe, let us also remember the breaths we have already taken away, the breaths we take away from the monstrosity of prejudice and every moment of indifference we allow to go without challenge, whether we can change a world now or not. That decision must not impede our religious obligation to speak truth to dangerous power. Because we are each a part of an interdependent web of existence, your life is at stake as long as mine is. The well-being of our children's children is made of whether we show up to oppose injustice with force, intelligence, and organization, or relax into the recline that keeps us apart. There is a cycle that must be broken, where not knowing what to do, where is excuse enough to stop doing, to stop figuring out how to be part of the solution. There's a cycle that must be broken where a well-resourced, well-organized, fierce torrent is not our automatic response to the democratic sin of state-sanctioned lethal injustice anywhere. Where not knowing what to do or how to do it pauses the difference we actually make. Where we measure our potential by its limits. There is a cycle that must break, that wastes its time on divisions, distractions, disdain, and debate, where conversation should be, where we do church in the ways that betray the boldness of our principle, which declares that peace is possible. There's a cycle that ravels the heart in habits of suspicion and silence, that draws us apart from the warmth of one another in the very moments our impact depends on us to do well by each other and dwell together in peace. The cycle is foolishness. The cycle must break, and we must break it. The words of Parker influencing King, motivating the philosophies of countless who heard Obama, now weight in our hands. Moral arc of the universe is long, many Unitarians can say, but it bends toward justice. Let us be careful now in this moment that we remember the moral arc bends to justice when the people learn how to reach up and stay until it comes down to its rightful place. When we reach up, when we bring the moral arc of all that is just to bend closer to our grandchildren's arms. Gathered together, the weight of our will and the warmth of our work can draw down the line of unfairness. Justice comes down when we decide to reach up and then do it. There's much work to do. So we must find a still place from which to do it. There's a circle of compassion that's going to be as wide as we're willing to make it, where the frayed edges of broken dreams meet the strong edges of new and bright ones, and they strengthen each other's wisdom. In these times, where there appears so much for the work of our hands to do for justice, we can become skeptical that this compassion is even possible. We can become skeptical that a beautiful community made whole is anything more than a luxury. But being together wisely and well, in candor and in celebration, learning to love peace, learning to be better selves, this is precisely the workings of world change. This is precisely what gives any of our work a chance. Here, again, a week begins. And we are in need, once again, of one another for strength, warmth, candor, complicity, compassion. Let us not be content to sustain ourselves on words of what we lack, or what a shame, or what we can't do. Lives are still waiting to matter. They're crying out in the silent spaces. They're crying out along the margins. We are crying out. And so long as anyone remains outside of the circle of beloved community by anything but choice, our work is yet begun.
I spend a lot of time looking at my computer screen these days, especially in Zoom rooms for meetings. And even when I'm listening to people, I'm constantly visually oriented. Sometimes it's hard to concentrate. It's hard to listen when there's so much visual stuff going on. I mean, I get distracted looking at what the person's wearing, or what's in the background of their house. What color is the wall? Or maybe look at that painting. All kinds of things visually compete for my attention. My vision is constantly activated these days. This focus on screens is exhausting. I'm going to invite you to visually disengage for a short while. I'm going to invite you to not watch, yet remain with me and present to this meditation. Instead of looking at the screen, watching what my hands are doing, I invite you to just listen. Close your eyes, if that's comfortable. It's okay if it isn't. You can instead move your eyes away from the screen and direct your gaze towards the flame of the chalice you may have lit. Or perhaps your gaze could be on your hands, folded in your lap or just resting on the table. Can I ask you to settle in, let your body relax as much as it can, because we are holding so much. We are holding anxieties, stress, injustices we see around us, things that happened that we can't believe could happen in this world and yet still do with alarming regularity. Be aware of these feelings that you are holding. Name them. Be aware of the constant visual stimulation of our screens. Let that go. Look at the candle flame or your hands, or close your eyes. Let's breathe a handful of breaths together. Don't watch. Pause and listen. Spirit of all-encompassing love, we are grateful for the time and space to be in community, to listen and be in stillness together, still enough so that we can hear each other's beating hearts, so that we can hear the voices of our ancestors and the voices of those among us today who have wisdom to share. May we learn to hear this wisdom. Let it guide us as we go forward into the week ahead. Amen.
Listen, 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 more often to things than to bees. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. In the voice of the waters those who have died have never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the fields. They are in the crying grass. They are in the morning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. To use the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never left. The dead have not packed with the living. They are with the Susan's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have not packed with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Oh, listen more often to things than to beings. It is the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. It is the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. When the fire's voice is heard, 'tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters.
If you believe in this community and what it does, what it's trying to be in the world, the difference we're trying to make, I invite you to give to the community and help it grow for our generation and for the generations which come after, to honor the generations that have come before with a dream realized. It takes strength, it takes presence, and it takes money and time, all of which we need from all of us. So I invite your giving, I invite your generosity as best you can. UUAA.org/giving. Come help us strengthen the work of justice in this place in the world. And I invite every single one of you to social hour after the service. UUAA.org/social hour is the address. Again, it's UUAA.org/social hour. There you can find good company and conversation and coffee if you're bringing it. Next week, we have a special time for our service, and that's because it's not just our own. We're participating in a service with congregations of Unitarian Universalism all around the state. Everyone's contributing a little bit of the service, and we're weaving the tapestry together. It's going to be a wonderful time of time spent building community and conversations, building fellowship with each other. That time is 10:30 a.m. instead of our normal time of 11:30. Next week, we meet at 10:30, and you can find all of the information you need for that service in the same place, UUAA.org/service. That's where we'll have the information posted. Until we meet again, may there be warmth in your day, in the week ahead, room to breathe, and company who will breathe with you. There is a deep truth of community, the world around. You don't have to be alone. We may journey together and give strength to each other's lives. So may it be that we are stronger and warmer and ready for the world because of the time we've spent in each other's company. Amen. Ashe. Go in peace.